All right. Welcome back. Yet another week of Ticket to Gamehendge, the podcast where we discuss everything Phish related, how to get your friends and family into Phish. I am struggling with getting my wife into Phish still. Let me tell you a quick story.
20 years, buddy.
I know. And that actually came up in, so Friday night, we're going to get into a lot of stuff today, of course. There's been a lot of activity in the Phish world. But first, I want to talk about, it would have been precisely 8:03, 8:04 Friday night. Put the girls to bed. I didn't want to wait. I knew that they were going to be doing a song from the barn at 10 to 8. That was advertised. So we're getting the girls ready for bed. And I've got it on my phone. And I'm sneaking peeks at it. You know, maybe I should have done that. Whatever. Megan's cool with it. And anyway, so I tuck Grace in. I've got it on my phone. I'm going downstairs and I'm watching it. And they're moving from, have you seen the video yet, by the way?
No.
So the first song was just a Trey and the background singers backstage.
Yeah.
At the theater, and then they continue singing.
I've listened to pieces of it.
Okay, yeah. So they continue singing and they're walking out. So I was kind of ignoring that song because I was on my way down to turn it on in here, and I was talking to Megan, and I said, "Oh yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It was the last night for Deacon James," and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's too bad. Whatever." Just being a supportive partner, I suppose.
Humoring
and I go, "Yeah," and oh yeah, we're really holding out hope for New Year's still. And she looks at me, she goes, "What?" And I said, well, they do New Year's every year, like really holding out that there's going to be something up for New Year's. And she says this, and my heart broke. She goes, I can think of a million things I'd rather be doing on New Year's than watching Phish. I took my head and I just stared at her and I went, I think I just died a little, is what I said. And then I said, I'm not giving up on you. And she goes, what? And I said, I'm not giving up on you. There was a time when, because you told me last week, there was a time when Rochelle was plugging her ears at a Phish show. And she goes, oh, I've never done that. And I go, right. So I'm not giving up on you. As soon as I finish saying that, they start playing Carini. My knees buckled, like in front of her. I'm heading down the stairs. I'm in her little bedroom. I'm about to come downstairs. She doesn't know what's going on, right? Carini starts, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. And I was like, holy shit. And she was what? Like, she had no idea why I was reacting the way that I was reacting. And I was like, it's Carini. It's my face. I got to get down. And I came running down the stairs to turn it on down here. And, I put it behind me and forgot about it. Clearly, I'm holding a bit of resentment still. But I just thought you get a kick out of that. And then from there, I just watched the whole Deacon James show. It was great. Loved it. The Carini was a little bit too short for my liking. But, yeah, great way to start the weekend, in my humble opinion. So, yeah. So I guess why don't we talk about Deacon James? Or maybe you can give me some more advice on how I can wear her down and get her into it.
I think you need to start with the attitude of wearing her down. You don't have to wear her down. You want her to get excited, Like it should be something that is like, yes, I can't wait to experience this. Is different than, oh, my husband wore me down.
Fair enough. Yeah. So I have to find ways to, and again, I play it all the time, and there's songs that come up, and we've added a couple marks to the board upstairs.
Songs, yeah.
Well, even she was looking through a magazine called Farmhouse, because our decorating theme, if you want to call it anything upstairs, and it's more her than me, it's a farmhouse. And I just said, hey, and there's been a lot of that coming up. So I'll get there. We'll play the long game. I got time.
I think just holding out the vision for because it seems like it's impossible, right? It seems like it's an insurmountable thing. I think just holding out the vision for what it's going to look like and trying to find commonalities and bringing joy to when you watch Phish, right?
Yeah, I honestly don't think it can happen without giving her the live Phish real concert experience. That needs to happen, and it will happen. We will go to a Phish show, and I think that will be the beginning of, wanting to listen to it more. It happened with Dave, to be honest with you. When we first started dating, she'd never seen Dave before. I took her to Buffalo, and we saw him would have been fall of 2010, right around now, early December, late November. And she was blown away at how great it was and how much energy there was. And then, in road trips and driving here and there, she would ask to listen to Dave and put it on playlists. So I'm hoping that if and when this is all said and done, we get back to real 3D live Phish, 4D, you can smell it, that we'll get there.
I think anyway, it'll definitely have the vibe of You know, I mean, like, look, people thought Coventry, you know, we thought that was like it.
Yeah.
Right. So just imagine the energy. I didn't go to any shows in 2009. I had my head up my ass, but I could just imagine what the energy of the first tour in 2009 would look like.
Well, yeah, as you know, I've been listening to that tour or that year essentially for the past, I don't know, maybe month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
As you know, I've taken a little bit of time. But I'm going to get into what I think is the best show so far. I mean, I only have a few left of 2009 in a little bit. But why don't we start with the Deacon Jams? Because, yeah, I mean, I don't know what I had to expect going into it. I think maybe I wanted secretly a bigger surprise. I wanted, you know, either Mike to be sitting in or Trey to be sitting in or something. But we got the full lineup of, I guess you can call it Tab. Side note, if you go into the Live Phish app and you go to the week where they did Ghosts of the Forest, it's listed under Ghosts of the Forest and not Anastasio Band.
It's funny. It's funny, just to interrupt you. I thought of you. Because to me, I didn't even know until you brought it up that it was called Ghosts of the Forest. Like that was like a separate unit. I just thought the album was called Ghosts of the Forest and it was a Trey Anastasio Band thing.
Yeah.
So good pickup.
I don't know the reason behind that, but you know. So yeah, like I said, I've already kind of mentioned, opened up with Carini, which really kind of got me going. And I've got a couple highlights noted down here. Have you listened to the show yet?
Bits and pieces of it. I'm still making my way through.
In order? No. You're not on shuffle, are you?
No, I'm not. I don't know what the hell that was all about. That had to be a joke or a mouse slip or something.
Yeah, I think so.
But no, I do is I start the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I listen, and then what I'll do is I'll go on to like YouTube, and I'll see what videos are available for that show, and I'll watch some of the songs out of context.
Okay.
Like I first heard like last week I did that for Harry Hood. They posted the video of them playing Harry Hood with the strings, so I watched it. I didn't like skip ahead on the track, and then like as the week progresses, slowly and steadily, I listened to the thing. To be honest, I have my head so far up 11/22/98's ass.
Yeah.
That I still haven't,
for sure.
You know, I still haven't come down from that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to that. So why don't we wrap up Deacon James quick? And you know, I think like I noted down over the 8 weeks, 152 songs. I literally went in and counted. Not a single repeat. My highlights from this past week would be 3. Carini was, you know, would always be there for me. Pebbles and Marbles was great. And then I texted you my highlight, Slave to the Traffic Light. Oh my God. Like, I think you texted me like a year ago that every time you hear that song,
it's in the best song ever category. You know, that song, Slave, Harry Hood, You Enjoy Myself, Divided Sky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just like, this is the best song ever.
Curtain Lift, those songs, yeah.
I think, sorry, finish your thoughts because I want to add a couple things.
No, I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I thought it was a really, really good show. Nice way to sort of wrap it up. I think it kind of left me wanting more. It raised more than $1 million for the Divided Sky Foundation, which is pretty incredible. You know, Vanity Fair even picked up that story. It's just love how, although it was a Trey thing more so than anything else, very in the Phish sense of go out, do it, don't make a big deal of it, connect with the people that really, really care, and make an impact. You know, and it was just awesome. Kind of like I said, it leaves me wanting more, and now nothing but anticipation for what Dinner and a Movie is going to be for this month, if they're going to do a New Year's thing or what that is. So take it away. What are your thoughts?
Oh, not much. It's just, you know, like, it's such a blessing. I think we take it for granted. I think like we were talking about last week, you're like, you know, I'm going to slow down and do a better job of like making sure I'm listening to the notes and trying to put myself in this experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we get something like this, it's just so special and it's so unique, and you know, I mean, we kind of blow over it like it's been, you know, 8 weeks of and it's always going to be there. It's not always going to be there, you know. It's kind of like what I know we're going to transition to talking about Dinner and a Movie. It's kind of like what makes Dinner and a Movie so special. Like you're there in '98 and you're at this thing, you know, and they're like, okay,
97
'97, and you're like, yeah, this is just going to last forever. But it's not going to last forever. You know, and you really get to appreciate, like going back and watching some of the old Dead shows, now that it's really over. Like, The Dead and Company is excellent, but it's not the Grateful Dead. And now that it's really over and you get to like really stand back and appreciate how special each and every show was and how amazing, like it's just amazing. And it's so wonderful that we're still living in a time where everybody's alive and we get to experience this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Absolutely. And it's perspective that I'm sure many lack, but
myself included.
Yeah, I'm with.
Right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm totally with you on it. Here's a question. How likely are you in a year or 2 years' time to go back and listen to one of the Deacon James shows? Like to go back and choose to listen to that instead of Phish or whatever else?
Not very likely.
Interesting.
Not very
Why is
likely.
that?
I thought a lot about it. And those songs to me are so special, especially the Phish songs. They're so special and they mean so much that I don't know. I think a part of me just wants to hear them a certain way. And like I appreciate Harry Hood with strings, but I also appreciate what Mike sounds like in Harry Hood and the lines that that Page plays, you know? So I think that's so meaningful and so impactful that, I mean, if the only option was to go back and listen to Trey Anastasio Band, absolutely I would, and I would be grateful. But the fact that I have, you know, all the other hoods and all the hoods to come, I would rather listen to that.
Okay. Of the three, here's another question. Of the three other members of Phish that didn't, I mean, Fishman played the 1 week with Ghost of the Forest. It was Ghost of the Forest week that he played, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a drummer.
Well, I guess technically, yeah, he is in Ghost of the Forest. Which of the three did you miss the most? Like, if you had to pick one of the three to be able to sit in, which one is it?
I have to pick, don't I?
Sure, forced choice.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is a better question. Who do you think would have had? Maybe this isn't fair. Who do you think of the three would have had the biggest influence and would have maybe shifted the sound more?
Yeah. I think the real answer is all of them because they play as a unit. But I think the real answer, honest to God, is Fishman.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to answer that.
What were you going to say?
I would have said Mike.
Respect.
Because I think his style I think his style, his vibe, everything compared to, what was the name of the bassist?
Tony Markellis.
Yeah, great. I mean, cool technical player and all that stuff, but he just didn't have the same flavor that Gordon brings. I love the element. I thought the drummer was solid. The element of the percussion that Cyril brought for me, I thought, not, of course it's not Fishman, but it provided me with some, I really like rhythm and I like that. I like counter rhythms and stuff that's going on in the background that's not traditional. And there was a lot of that with it. And I also have some thoughts on Ray, the keyboardist, because you haven't seen a lot of the shows. You've listened to them, right? He has his physical maneuvers and mannerisms when he plays is so unlike any other keyboardist that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was almost distracting to me. Like I will honestly say he sounded great, but watching him, it didn't agree with my brain. He almost looked like he wasn't moving in rhythm with the music.
Yeah.
For our listeners, you might not be able to tell, but typically when I see a keyboard player, their hands and fingers are stretched out flat and they're playing.
Yeah.
His were almost like he had clubbed hands and his fingers were turned in and he would almost like pull the keys towards him like he was raking sand at times. And it was very like hunchbacky and I don't know, very strange, but clearly a great player. But I think I missed Mike more than anyone, which goes against what I would have said weeks ago that I've really gotten into Page and how much he brings to songs. But I think that bass sound that he brings is so unique. I
can't disagree. And I think that's kind of the beauty of it, if you listen to Coventry, when things are falling apart and a lot of the songs, or that run where like they play that Vegas show and Trey makes a lot of mistakes and how like it negatively influences they're intimately tied together, man.
They are.
You can't. And that's kind of the part that makes it a challenge for me to listen to Tab. Like I'm grateful to hear it, but you hear Trey and Trey will always sound like Trey. That's why I think projects like Ghost of the Forest is hilarious. It always sounds like Trey, no matter what project he's involved in. It sounds like the same person.
Sure.
But the other musicians, because I'm so used to hearing what it sounds like with Page and with Mike and with Fishman, that it's a noticeable difference when there's other people sitting in with him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ticket price is reasonable. They come relatively close. Would you go see Tap?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I feel similarly. I don't know, honestly, to answer my own question about will I go back in a year or two and come back and listen to one of those shows. I may if I'm in for a different mood, but I think, I'd have a tough time going in there and looking at everything else that's available. I think I'd have a tough time choosing that one, especially when I still have so much more to discover and go back.
But
and listen
again,
to.
like, so now you have that feeling of, standing around with Andrew and I and listening to, Drift While You're Sleeping, for example, when we're jumping around like a bunch of morons. Exactly.
We're doing this whole thing. Yeah.
100%, right? Where like everyone
gross way.
Right. Or, you could go back and listen to like Drift While You're Sleeping when you just had an argument with your wife about, not like what memory would you rather have, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. So I guess maybe we'll kind of keep track of that over time, and maybe on episode 152 we'll say, hey, I listened to Deacon James again. Oh my God, remember that? Who knows? All right. So let's shift gears a little bit and go on to the Juke Baba Jingo Juke Baba Jingo. I think I said last week before going into 11/22/97 that I didn't know the show. And I didn't really know it well. I had listened to it, but I'd forgotten about listening to it. And as soon as it started, it was evident right away there's only one camera for this whole show. Just zoom in and out, back and forth, which, hey, fine. I felt like it was kind of in the stands a bit. And it seemed oddly familiar to me, like super, super familiar, but I couldn't place it. Now, to rewind and backstep a little bit, I was put back on the train by you last June. We went to see Phish for the 2019 tour, and Halley's Comet was played at our show. On the way home, I remember exactly where we were, right where the QEW meets the 403 at the Ford plant. Anybody out there that drives a Ford Edge, that's where it was made. And you said, hey, there's this really, really great video on YouTube that breaks down Halley's Comet in a way that will really make you appreciate the types of jams and the history of the song. It actually wasn't written by Phish. And I was interested in it because I just had an amazing experience. I went into that show thinking, okay, this will be fine. I'll see Cracio again and we'll see Phish and it'll be cool. I didn't know it was going to completely change my listening priorities and what I've really gotten into.
Yep.
So I think within a day or two, you sent me the link to Amar Guitar's Anatomy of a Jam of Halley's. And so I was watching it, and right away it was familiar. And I went, oh shit, this is the Hampton Halley's show. Oh my God. So it kind of ruined the opening second set song for me. But yeah, what a show. What a show. I mean, I don't know where you want to jump off and begin from, but like, oh my God. I think it was the best dinner in a movie, in my opinion, so far.
Respect. Like anytime we get a show from this, anytime we get a show from Phish Conquers America tour, you can't complain, or Destroys America, whatever it is.
It's up on the app, by the way. You can watch it on the app too. It's under 2020, but they dropped it in there.
Oh, good. About time.
So I don't know if it'll stay forever. And I think this too, that all the Beacon Jam videos are in there too. Yeah. It's just they're one track. So you have to, if you want
watch
to
the whole thing.
Skip to the 10th song, you really can't. So yeah, man, you got to watch it, right?
I watched the first set. Watched the first set. So Rochelle and I watch a set, and then honestly we just get tired and like we shut it off and go to sleep.
Yeah. Tough to argue with the human body when it wants to do that.
Oh, buddy. But you know what? To be controversial, like I know listen, Halley's is excellent. It's not the highlight of the show for me.
I would agree with you there too. What was the highlight for you? I know what mine was.
Oh, buddy, I love Mike's into nitrous into nitrous dioxide into Weekapaug. I love that, man. And what a
nitrous oxide.
And what a Weekapaug groove that was, man.
I'm gonna do my impression of me watching that show. It was this.
Oh.
For the first 35 minutes, I started it late at about 8:45, and it was about 25 after 9 when they like stopped playing for the first time after starting, because they just went Mike's and the Hydrogen into Weekapaug, and I was like, holy shit. And then Harry Hood started, and that was a great. Oh my God.
Well, I remember Rochelle was like, "This is still the first song."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And like,
yeah.
And like for, I don't know, man, for, like kind of she's right in a way,
Yeah. I think I guess I cheated a little bit the few days prior. I was reading some of the comments about the show and sort of the hype building up to it, and somebody had commented on CK5's lighting in the opening of Mike's song.
Excellent.
And when the riff starts and it's dark and it's just bam, lights and the rainbow. Yeah, it was just
so now
really took me back.
To set context, I think the reason that Halley's gets as much credit as it does is, number one, it's excellent, like it's outstanding, and number two, it's a song that is typically a 5-minute, very candy, very major key, positive, upbeat song.
Yep.
Right. So for them to throw something like that at people with not even expecting it, you're just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And like 26 minutes for a song that's normally 5. And I think it's a big part of a Mark Guitar's video. He breaks down like the notes that start to change it and what Fishman does to take it in a new direction. And I love that kind of stuff. And, set 2, 5-song set, Tweezer, Black Eyed Katie, which later became Moma Dance, right? Piper, always good. And then Run Like an Antelope, encore, Tweezer, reprise, and bouncing around the room. Just, good. And the energy, you could feel it. Chubby Trey, just going for it.
I don't think he was that chubby, man. I think it was the 90s gear. It was like the shirt on top of a shirt type of stuff.
I think there was that, but he's also very thin now. He had a lot more in his cheeks and neck. And his movements have changed a lot. He does a lot less of like the what would I call it? What animal does this with the head in and out when they walk? There's an animal that does that when they walk.
A sloth?
It's a bird.
A sloth?
No, sloths are super slow. But when he had like the neck bob thing going, there's a lot of it in Bittersweet Motel, 96, 97, 98, a lot of that.
But yeah, the crowd energy, it was interesting because the crowd energy was noticeable. Like even with like crappy camera work, like the audience was much more excited than any of the other dinner movies that they showed.
Yeah, and I think it came at a really unique time in the band's history. Fall of '97, the Conquer America tour, or whatever you want to call it, where they were really developing what do they call it, cow funk. And it seemed like almost every jam break, the first thing that Trey would do was go into the wah wah, and get that sort of funk jam going. And when you listen back, it was really evolving at that time. A really exciting time for the band. Like when you look back on it, just how adventurous and just doing their own thing. And I also think about, I don't know about you, I know we talked about this weeks ago, but I try to put myself in that time. I've even lately, when I listen to a show, I'll Google images of the venue that they're in. I want to know the size of it, what it looks like.
That's cool,
I just want to get that image. And just when I think back to that time of everything that they had already done up to that, and we're still, I guess when you think about it, the scope of things, a pretty new band. They've been really seriously touring for less than 10 years at that point in time. They still hadn't done Cypress Creek. They hadn't taken their breaks. They hadn't done all these other things that they've done since. And it was just, it just felt really, really raw. And I don't know. It's just a really good feeling watching that show for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting, because they were still, so at that point, if I remember, that was like the first big jaunt into like big arenas on that tour, right? It was like they really, one of the things that I really, 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 really like about 1.0 Phish and, the Machine Gun Trey is there's this, it's like a chip on their shoulder. It's almost like the "we'll show you." And I think that just led to a lot of like excellent music. The fact that like they were so obsessive about it. I think Trey used to go back after the show, like into his hotel room and like write charts for the next show. Like it was next level, man. And it really, really comes across.
Yeah, I agree. You can feel and see the drive, the ambition.
It's intense, man. Like it's really intense.
Yeah, 100%. We're really lucky, as you keep saying that, we're able to kind of go back and see that and listen to it. And, really good. So again, next dinner in a movie, hoping for something great. I mean, I'll watch it regardless. Evidently, I might not be able to watch it on New Year's Eve if that's when it comes
I probably won't be able to
unless
either.
I'm going to watch it alone.
We have plans, right? Like I think we're going to go visit one of Rochelle's friends. So we'll just watch it some other time. No big deal.
Yeah. Awesome. I wanted to, before we go, I wanted to talk a little bit about 12/3/2009, because last week we were talking about, what are the best second sets that are out there? And I don't necessarily have my, I can't really say, hey, this is the best second set ever, but I think I can confidently say the best second set of the 2009 tour has got to be 12-3 2009, which was MSG. I've noticed a trend, and I don't think it's on purpose, but it seems to me that anytime Phish does a 3-night stand in a venue over a weekend or whatever it is, it seems to me that night 2 is the best of the 3 nights. And you would almost think that the first night or the last night would be the best, but it just, for me, consistently, night 2 has the best jams, the best sets, the best surprises, in my opinion. So I listened to this on the way home after Black Friday last week. I ran a store, it was busy, kind of a crazy day. I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit. So Down with Disease, open up with Mike's squabbly bass jam or whatever you want to call that. Yep. 19 minutes and 23 seconds. A great type 2 jam. Like really, really good. Into Piper, which I always love. Fluffhead. And by the time they get I was like, holy shit, this is great first 3 songs of the second set. And then Cities. But it's Cities in a way that, I don't know, just for me, pop. Like I was really into Cities it and singing those lyrics. Yeah. And it's a song that honestly 2 years ago, I wouldn't have, gotten excited over. I was just kind of like, whatever. Into Free. Then Halley's Comet, short version, 6.5 minutes, kind of a usual Halley's Comet. And then 2001. Now, I've heard 2001 a lot. And I don't know the notes here. I want you specifically to go back and listen to this version of 2001. Okay. Because Trey does something on the guitar that I don't even know how to explain it. So and again, I don't have perfect pitch, but the notes are bow, bow, bow. Mm-hmm. So that last note on the high one, every time he hit it, he hovered on the edge, right on the edge of that note just being so sharp with an element of feedback that just sounded in a way like it felt like it was piercing me. Like it was like it didn't hurt. It kind of hurt, but it hurt in a good way. Yeah. If that makes any sense. And there are times, and again, I'm not a guitar guy, where those really high notes, you can see it's tough. It's tough to play. I have a tough time finding it. You've mentioned to me that it's a matter of the vibration and the air and holding it in the right spot so you get that resonance or whatever you want to call it. But he was bordering on the edge of just making that note super sharp with some feedback. Cool. It was just awesome.
I'll listen.
Yeah, 12-3, 2009. And then after that, the set ends with David Bowie. But before, as a segue from 2001 into David Bowie, he hits this thing on his guitar an effect that was an even higher pitch. Yeah. That I swear, if I was on something at that show, like you know me, I've never done the LSD and never done stuff, but if I was, I think my insides would have ended up on my outsides. Like it was just like I was in the car sober listening to it and went, holy shit, like it just hit me, man. It was awesome. So I don't want to overhype it. I probably have. And I'm sure if anyone's listening to this and is going to go back and listen to it, they're going to go, whatever, man. But for me, in that moment, the way it sounded was just brilliant.
I love it.
And then the encore was Character Zero. But that second set was just, so good for 2009, which I'm almost done. I'm on the last MSG show. And then I'm actually literally on Mike's song from MSG, 12/4/2009.
What's next?
And then I'm almost done, 2009.
2010 next?
That? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I figure, why not? Why not? Unless there's a better recommendation you have, but.
Oh, dude, I'm listening to, what am I? Here, let me get my phone. I'll tell you exactly what I'm listening to. Oh, I'm listening to Portland from '98 when they came back from Europe.
Okay.
Oh, man. So good. 07/15/98.
July 15th, 98. How far in are you?
I'm in the second set. And they played they played Tweezer, and it gets all like moody, and it transitions into a song that you wouldn't think that they would transition into. That's not their song, that's a cover. It's awesome.
Okay. Maybe I will deviate and listen to that on the way home on the dark, snowy drive tonight. One thing we haven't talked about, and it was like first on my list, was the poll I put out there.
Yeah.
So we I think it's no secret. We talked about how we like to go into a show that's new to us, or even a show that we haven't listened to in a long time, blind. Hit play, And just like when you're at a show, live show, you really don't know what's going to come next. So we just kind of talked about that last week, and we said, I wonder what other people do. I floated it out there.
Which, by the way, makes dinner and a movie really, really tough. Like once they make the announcement, I have to be off like immediate because people discuss the songs, right, as they should.
Yeah, 100%. So what do we got here? We had a total of 169 votes. There were 4 options. Option 1. Review set list before listening. So you got to know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Option 2, go in blind, just hit play.
Yep.
That's what you and I both chose. Yeah. Option 3, hit shuffle and break all the rules. And then option 4, I don't listen to new shows. So overwhelmingly, there was 2 very, very popular choices. The winner was go in blind, just hit play. So 89 of the 169 votes were that. 73 review the set before listening. 1 person hit shuffle. And 6 people say that they don't listen to new shows. Reading through the comments, I love that. Whoever votes for shuffle, please explain this madness. 1 person did and never really explained it. I said to you when I first started getting back into Phish and was on the app, I asked you, like, why does a shuffle button even exist on here? Like, why would somebody even do it? I guess unless you're making a playlist of your favorites and from different shows, which you can do. But yeah, a lot of people, I like to listen blind so that when they bust into Antelope or whatever, it's my first time knowing it and I get to react accordingly. That's it for me.
100%, man. That's exactly right. Dude, I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's so funny how like whatever they play kind of sets the narrative for what's happening in your life at that moment. Like I remember I remember one guy was like, he's like, hey, I'm getting into mountain biking and I want to listen to Phish. Like what recommendations for shows do you have? And I was like, listen, man, you pick a show and you hit play and then you go on your bike ride and whatever you're listening to is going to create a beautiful narrative for you. That's how, like when I train, like when I have a longer like workout and it's like an hour, whatever, man, that's all you do.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when I think about things like expectations, we've talked about that a little bit. When you inflate, and I maybe just did that for 12/3/2009. You inflate those expectations for people, or others do it to you, and you go in and you have a certain level that you need to hit, and when it doesn't live up to it, it could be a disappointment. Like how many movie trailers ruin the movie, or the best thing about the movie is just in the trailer. You watch the trailer and you're good. I think there is an element of going in blind to movies, to TV shows, to Phish shows, where you are going to make it what you want it to be. You're a lot less likely to be influenced by somebody else's opinion about what's great and why it's great, why it resonates with you, because it's yours.